If you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code ATNIGHT to get 5% off your order. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night, your weekly Vanguard podcast. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And today we are looking at the Masque units again, because when they were first revealed about 4 or 5 months ago, we saw that they gave one to Zorda, we made fun of it, and we moved on with our lives. But
yeah, it turns out Zorga was the good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're taking a look at all this again, because this is also as a result of Magnolia Masque coming out, me getting all sad about it, trying it out for real, and then being like, oh, this is like halfway decent. So we got some stuff to look at again. So I guess we should look at Zorga himself to begin with, like with a fresh set of eyes.
I mean, as like the one guy here who plays the deck, the card's like fine, right? Like it does the same thing as, or it almost does the same thing as the original. It just like this is actually closer to Grave Zorga, where it just gives like a bunch of power to the front row, and then you have the remove effect that lets you the remove effect was like grab something from the drop zone. Like if it's an order, you put it into your hand, or you call it if it's a unit, I think.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. And originally when this came out, we were like, well, shit, you got to run 4 of each then to do the, thing you want to do. But
the correct answer is no, actually, just don't play the original.
Well, you do for the ride line part, but you don't put it in the main deck. Or do you not?
No, obviously you have.
Okay, yeah.
You can.
All right.
The masks can only ride on the original form.
Yes. Okay. Good. Yeah. So, and then they also gave you a 4th attack out of this, didn't you? Because it has to do with the Dragon Tree marker stuff.
Yeah. So the keel severing.
Yeah.
Well, like, yep. I mean, Zorga suffers from like needing to high roll, which it always has, but like. Yeah, you need to get your prison dragons. You want to see keel severing. You need something that makes a dragon tree marker. You need to have enough orders in your hand, because, just milling all of your orders doesn't do anything if you can't play one from your hand to Alchemagic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I think Zorga is easily the best mask, because when it gets going, your front row is just like plus 20k, and your prison dragons have 2 crit, and you can make a 4th attack.
Yeah.
But honestly, like the weaknesses of Zorga masks are just weaknesses Zorga has always had.
Mm-hmm. It comes down to that thing where you go, if a deck has a weakness by itself, is that necessarily a bad thing for the deck overall? Like every deck has to have a weakness. Like Great Nature is bad at Soul, but that doesn't make it bad. It just has that weakness.
No, like I think the deck's fine. It's just like needing to high roll sometimes means like it's not consistent enough to be like a top tier deck, or all the time. Like it pops up here and there, but I think if we're being if I'm being generous to Hexa Orb, then it's like the 5th best deck.
I mean, whatever. We're all gonna copium our own stuff. It's fine.
Because right now it's like Gondiva, Willista, like Jet and Messiah are still somewhere in contention. And then depending on how generous you want to be to like Hexa Orb and Eva, like Zorga is like 5th or 6th.
Yeah. Gandiva is like really far out in front of the pack, and everything else is just kind of like cartoon dust cloud going for 2nd, I think.
Yeah.
But so we had that, and then the next thing was Leonardo, which we thought was the good one, and we were wrong.
Yeah, this card. Okay, like in Japan, this card hasn't done anything. I think by the time we get any sort of relevant English events, this deck will be like even further irrelevant. It's like okay. Similar to Zorga, it needs to high roll a bit. Like you really do need. So the set 9 cycle card, the one that's like Soul Blast to give 2 things 10k.
Yeah.
You really need that card for this to do anything because you don't have a back row to boost with because they're all boosting Leonardo.
Yeah.
So in order to get good numbers, it's basically the same thing as Zorda, where your front row is basically at plus 20k, except you're making 5 attacks this time instead of having crits.
Yeah, because like where this can stand 2 of anything instead of just the things in the corners.
Yeah, so the high role play is just having 2 of, I think it was Tideline Dragon or something like that, that lets you Soul Blast, give something 10k, so that if you have 2 of them, they're just at like plus 30k on your units.
Yeah.
And then I think Leonardo suffers the worst from like not doing the mask thing, so if you just brick, you're gonna have a really bad time because you're not running any of the cards that made the original Leonardo good anymore.
Right. That does feel awkward because I think some decks will lean more into the mask portion of it versus not.
No, all of them lean more into the mask portion. Or no, you're right. Like some of them lean closer to the original, and some of them, like the mask, is like very radically different, and so you have to deck build very differently, which means that like if things don't go to plan, your deck really suffers.
Yeah, and it also comes down to like how your Dragon Tree marker makers are. Like,
I mean, they're all the same.
I mean, like, because they all have a secondary effect.
Not the grade 2s.
No, not the grade 2s, the grade 1s. Like,
yeah, but the grade 1s like don't really matter.
This is that.
I don't think any deck currently, as a festival collection, plays the grade 1s really. I think the grade 1 retros see more play outside of the mask text than they do in them.
Yeah, they're usually like well, because their secondary effect is either like bonkers or just like, okay, whatever, get a normal order from drop zone back. Like, come on.
Yeah, counter blast. Although I do play it in Zorda because you need to get orders back from drop zone.
I have it as a 1 of in Magnolia. We'll get to it. Let's see. Next up, Astrea.
This one fucking sucks.
You tried this, didn't you?
This one blows. This is easily the worst one.
Wait. What? Yeah. Extra drive and then find all. Yeah, this is pretty.
This one's bad on multiple levels. So the removal effect is actually relevant, which means you have to like find a way to fit Unica in the deck.
Ugh, gross.
And then your numbers to begin with aren't very good, so trying to restand and get the crit, or trying to restand like doesn't matter very much if your initial swing is like 25.
Yeah.
And also like because it's every 2 crits bound, I found I had trouble like trying to get enough triggers bound to like make the effect relevant, partially because like if you guard too, or if you go too hard trying to get the triggers into drop zone to like get this going, that leaves you with like fewer defenses later when it's relevant.
Okay.
And so I found the deck to have very like mediocre hand sizes. Like trying to manage triggers is annoying because you need to get some of them in so that your restand numbers are decent. Also trying to manage soul because you don't soul charge that quickly. It's mostly just like cycling triggers, which you need to see the triggers. And then of course you're just running like 8 bricks in your deck.
Seems to be a pattern, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's see, what was next? Was it Drajuled or Greedon that came first?
Drajuled was next.
Drajuled was next, okay.
So, Drajuled is in an unfortunate state where it does not exist the way that it does in Japan, because we don't have Imposa.
Imposa?
The promo that restands.
I know, I'm just trying to remember the exact effect here, so I'm looking this up
it's when
for
you
myself.
It's when you Soul Blast 4 or more, you can, like, stand it, then, like, if you did not restand something yet, you can stand it, and then you can retire it to grab a grade 2 or less. Grade 2 or greater, or grade 2 or less? I don't remember.
Grade 2 or greater.
Okay, grade 2 or greater from hand to soul, from soul to hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, this card is currently the shop challenge promo.
Yeah, because I'm
So,
seeing this in English, so it's got to exist somewhere.
Good fucking luck
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah. It's a rough time being a Jewel player.
It's not even on TCG Player right now.
Yeah, well.
So yeah, Dredrewald is in a very unfortunate state where it just doesn't or when Set 10 released, it just did not exist in the same state that it did in Japan, and now we're finally getting the promo in a way that's very inaccessible for a lot of people.
So we're getting like a Nebra-disc type phenomenon going on.
Yeah,
where by the time we get the promo, it's too late and everything's moved on without it.
I feel like this deck was kind of flash in the pan even in Japan because the thing it's really good at is also kind of the same reason why Magnolia currently is a pretty good Masque deck, is just all aggro.
Yeah.
You just don't bother with survivability beyond having Gungurum because it happens to have a draw effect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the entire strategy of Jeweled Masque is to just drop your hand and start attacking. You know, your opponent's at like 1 power. Jeweled gains a crit. Like, you'll get them eventually.
If you don't, you'll go to the next game.
Yeah.
If you don't, you'll go to, what was that? It's best of one? All right.
Yeah.
Go to next round.
Yeah, like more than anything else, Jeweled is very much a either you win or you don't kind of deck.
Isn't that?
Yeah, that's everything. But you know, there's usually some kind of back and forth, right? Like, but Jeweled is really just like, nope, you just drop your hand and attack. Either you win or you don't.
Okay, fair enough. So, Greedon on paper looked good to me when they first revealed it, but
yeah,
I don't see a lot of people really standing for this very much.
Yeah, people didn't like it because you couldn't hit the like crazy ceilings of the original, but also like we now have results from set 11. This deck's not doing anything.
Yeah,
like this one's hard to talk about because we like don't have it in English yet.
Right. So, but I don't think Vanguard has the sort of phenomenon that Yu-Gi-Oh does, where like everyone's doing the things over here and like making the big plays, whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh it's the opposite, where they're just like, all right, we did all the cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, funny because MBT just made a Twitter thread video about like things that were really good in the OCG that just flopped here for one reason or another.
Yeah,
but I don't think Vanguard suffers from that as much.
Yeah, well,
like, our meta is pretty close to theirs.
I think it is largely due to the ban list being more similar than it is between Yu-Gi-Oh and
like
TCG, SCG.
Ban list between OCG and TCG for Yu-Gi-Oh is like completely different. Also, like, you know, release order gets fucked with. Right. So like certain cards just like don't come out for a really long time, which we also suffer with.
Then we also get like TCG exclusives in Yu-Gi-Oh as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or the best thing where you get a TCG exclusive archetype, and then they give it an OCG exclusive support card that makes it tier 0.
Yeah, that's like a really weird phenomenon that I've noticed. It's like, why would you do one then the other?
I'll be ready for 5 more episodes of Spiral Mirrors.
Oh my god! Oh, why? Because they're doing that on History of Yu-Gi-Oh right now.
Yes.
Oh god.
Well, last episode was a Spiral Mirror. This one was like Spiral versus Pen Magicians.
Yeah, and it was just funny that like Simo doesn't win those a lot of the time, and then he finally got the win this time with like the biggest finger on the scale I've ever seen.
I will always root against Simo.
Why? What's your problem with him?
He cheated with Substitute yet again.
Oh. Wait,
I mean, they cheated.
In Prague, they Hall of Fame substitute, and Simo played it again. And so, game 1, Gauge warnings solemn judgments, the substitute, because you just lose the game if you don't.
Yeah. And
Simo, the next episode, I may have played substitute, though it wasn't game determinative. It was like he had to judgment that shit.
Yeah. Wait, can you do it based off? You can't do it off of substitute's effects. Can you?
Do what?
Solemn judgment. I know you can do warning because it's an effect.
I mean, you could just, it's a normal summon, right?
Oh, it was off the normal summon?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought it was like the
popping out of the graveyard. He normal summoned it, and he said no.
Yeah. Also, just continue to play like Chaos Monarch after they're like deep in.
And then they like he'll always now? He's been playing Chaos Monarchs for like 4 weeks. He's like, you will, I'm on something pretty spicy today, and you're like, it's Chaos Monarch.
Sorry, people who don't watch SEMO and or MBT related stuff. But yeah, like kind of a bummer. I really liked what they did with his art too, where he looks like even more like a mobster, and he's got the almost looks like a priest a little bit. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, on the plus side, it's a pretty cheap deck if you wanted to just pick it up.
Mm-hmm. This seems like something if you give it enough, like support, like the critical mass, you'll eventually get like the right Desire Devil to get it over the line.
Because I mean, the fundamental problem with a lot of the mask decks is you need like a whole bunch of additional deck slots just for like the mask stuff.
Right.
Because at the very least, you're either running 4 copies of the mask or like some number of the mask and some number of the dragon tree that searches the mask. Because you need to find this stuff consistently.
Yeah.
So like, 6 to like 10 slots in your deck are just like devoted to this. And compared to just running your deck normally, it's like you have 1 extra grade 3 because you can play up to 4 of the mask grade 3s because it's not on your ride line.
Yeah.
Like most decks play like 2 or 3 copies of the mask itself. I think a lot of decks just go for 2. Maybe like 2 or 3 of the like searcher. Again, most decks go for like 2. So, just like 5 cards out of the like 20 or so that you have left after like Persona rides, ride deck, triggers, PGs, just go to like this. And then oftentimes they'll like play very differently from the original, which means you play a bunch of different support cards that are only for the mask.
Yeah. And then, your mileage may vary, of course. And like the other thing is where the mask stuff is for like up until, a week and a half ago or something, it's all Stoichea and Dark States.
Yeah. Until like Orphist Mask.
Yeah. Which is pretty good timing. So
yeah. I mean, this one seems bad.
Yeah, so it can only be the normal can only be written on the name. Okay. Act on Van removes the name from Hansel.
Remove differently named Orphist.
Yep. Choose a world card from your drop, put it into your order zone, which seems inconsequential.
The way this card works, it's probably required, which is very unfortunate.
And then on attack, counterblast 1, put any number of world cards from order zone into drop, which already feels kind of suspect. Call up to the same number of Shadow Army tokens as the number of world cards put into drop for cost. If you called 2 or more cards, get an extra drive. Like, you need to be shitting out world cards for this to be worth it.
Yeah.
I think.
Also, it would be really unfortunate if like one of the better world cards needs to be in the order zone to resolve.
Are we talking about Eclipse Moonlight or
no? The one that gives your tokens 5k.
Oh yes, that one. That is important.
Yeah,
to stay there.
This one is baffling to me. Like, so the problem Regis has is obviously it has to discard a card, and Orphis is pretty like in card advantage as an aggro deck.
Yeah.
So plays very aggressively. This one is weird in that like the way Orphis is currently being played, you have that grade 3 order that buffs up all your tokens every time they're called, and it's like this is completely contradictory. And it's not like we can't just stack power gains because Zorda already does it. So I have no idea what they're afraid of there. And so it's like trying to give it more sustainability, but you also have to like drop your world orders.
Yeah, or it's like they're like, all right, you can do 5 attacks.
You can already do 5 attacks.
Yeah, exactly. So like, what's there's nothing new to it. It's just
it gains a drive check.
Yay for so much commitment.
Yeah, but this is another one where it's like, okay, well, going from Regis to this, so either you're playing the original one now because that one just kind of makes tokens passively.
Yeah,
or like you're doing, but that also means, especially if you're going first, like kind of a nothing turn. I guess like this is one of the ones where you just kind of have to go into the mask all the time, even if you're going first and don't get the Persona ride.
Yeah. And like I know, like the different mask cards are going to need either for you to run all of the old ride line, or if you just do the one, you're okay. Like this is definitely the latter.
Yeah, this one's like, yeah, you need to probably run like at least one additional, maybe even two of Orphis, just because like getting your world cards back is a requirement for this to even function. And the grade 1 support card, I think, costs a counterblast, so good luck.
You're killing me here. It's also the only non Stoicheia Dark States one, which how many do you think they're going to make of other nations? Like we don't have Keter or Dragon Empire.
I mean, at this point, we just might not get. Like, unless we get a Bob Sakura mask, we're just like probably not getting it.
Yeah, but they still have the Dragon Tree marker stuff, but that's literally just because of Dragon Tree.
Yeah, like they have not even bothered making grade 2 wretches for these nations yet.
So there you go, I guess.
Orphis seems very underwhelming.
Yeah. Meanwhile, all right, Evil Eye Emperor Omina Gruzio.
Sure.
Mask. So this got revealed this week.
So this is a unique one because this is the first deck that's purpose built to be a mask deck. You know, all of the other ones have been built on existing ride lines, you know, Orphis, Jeweled, Leonor, and all of those were decks that existed before this. This is the first one where it's like, it's debuting this set, and the base version of the card is designed to just get you to the mask.
Yeah.
So this is like purpose built to be a mask deck. It's also got an interesting, potentially frustrating mechanic.
So act on Van once per turn, remove the different name, choose up to one trigger unit from your drop, bind it. This unit gets red text, continuous on Van. All of your opponent's cards with the same trigger icon as any card in your bind zone get shield minus 5,000, and your opponent cannot increase power with those trigger effects until end of turn. Oh, did somebody say overtrigger?
I mean, that requires you to like draw and put into the drop zone your overtrigger.
It also is getting minus 5k, so it'll be a 45k shield instead, which is like, okay.
You underestimate my power.
Well, you better show me some.
Burn.
Yeah, and then it has its auto effect, which is just it restands itself.
Yeah, end of battle. It attacks, counterblast 1, put 2 back row rear guards into soul. Stand it, give try -1. Very good.
Yeah, and then and as far as like power goes, it does have a rear guard that gets like 5k for each trigger type in your bind zone.
So yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah. Also, like the original version is like on play, look at top 5, grab either its own name or the mask, add it to your hand, and then you can Soul Blast, bind a trigger from drop, and your opponent can't activate those trigger effects. It does not have the shield minus 5,000 on the original, though.
Gotcha.
So yeah, this one is potentially very annoying, especially if it gets enough power going. Which it looks like it is getting at least some power cards with its other grade 2.
How much potential do you think this has as a deck?
I mean, so this is one of the ones where running the original is mandatory because of the removal effect, which is a little annoying. So deck building for this one is going to be weird. Like, you can search the mask with its own effect, or with the effect of the original grade 3, which means you can probably run fewer of it, which is nice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that is negated by the fact that you have to run more of the original that doesn't do anything on Rearguard.
Right. And well, the good thing is that even if you get the mask, you can then use the mask to search the mask unit. So they like chain into each other.
Yeah. And sometimes you just whiff and go -1. Ask me how I know.
I'm just gonna let that be silent for
yeah. Like, this one has some potential because like the grade 2 gives you draw power and power, which is probably what the deck just needs to capitalize on itself. Although the restand itself is like pretty weak because it doesn't gain any power and it loses a drive, and essentially like minusing the trigger power is the equivalent of giving Pro 5k.
Yeah.
But also it means you have to like be running the same type of triggers and seeing the same type of triggers, which also reduces how many you will check on your own when you are attacking.
I'm wondering, like, do you go for the rainbow just to try and screw over everybody, or?
I mean, because this is also a restander, so you just like still want crit pressure, right?
Yeah, like, but would you want to forego fronts all the way?
I mean,
the event that, like,
the problem is like
it's
if you're running like one front trigger just to like have it, then you have to find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can search it with the ride line, but you don't know if your opponent's playing it, and then if your opponent's not playing it, it's a wasted bind because it doesn't do anything. And if they are playing it, but you didn't know that, then you now have to find it long after you probably could have searched it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some decks where you can kind of tell based on like what variant of the deck it is. Like if you go, oh, it's Flagbird, I'm probably going to see some fronts, that kind of thing.
No, you don't. Flagbird has to attack. Flagbird has to be like the 5th attack. Why are you running fronts?
Wait, sorry, Maelstrom?
I mean, Maelstrom still needs to be like the 4th attack. Also, probably not running fronts.
Not even for the shield?
No.
I overestimate the ability of fronts. I think like I have a weird.
There are so many decks that do not play fronts.
Yeah.
Like most of them.
But so the last one here. All right. So Magnolia Masque came out. I did a sad TikTok where it looked like I was about to start crying to the Hallelujah that was in Shrek, and then I was wrong. So
it's pretty wild that Shrek is now the point where that song is from.
Oh,
like that's where everyone will know it.
That's like the point of the zeitgeist that people are paying attention
to.
Yeah. Well, I think whatever. Anyway, so so what I think is interesting about this particular mask is during your turn on Van, all of your rear guards on rear guard with a dragon tree marker can attack from the back row and get power plus 10k. So this is one of the few masks, or I think it's the only mask that cares about where your dragon tree markers go and what they do.
Like Zorda cares in the capacity that you need it for keel severing, but you're also perfectly fine just jamming prison dragons.
Yeah. And then Act on Van, you can remove the Magnolia, and then it gets red text when your rear guard attacks a Vanguard from the back row, you blow something of the opponent's up. This is fine. It's not super important.
You're certainly not running 3 additional Magnolias for it.
No, you are not. You don't need the retire. Like you'll get one board wipe out of it, and you're like, all right, that's cool. I don't need to do anything else. And then the main thing is that like like Magnolia as a deck has a problem with being board whooped, etc. And it got an answer to that in a card called Force Grow Dragon, which is specifically made for Magnolia, which is on play outside of battle phase. So no shenanigans for you. But on play, if you have Magnolia, Counterblast, call something from drop for the X number of Dragon Tree markers you have. Since you're shooting for 3, that means you can just remake a board on play, just shit out 3 things. And then the other effect is when it attacks, it gives Vanguard 5k for the turn, which, okay, that's cool. It does something even after you've used the effect. I spent an afternoon and an evening testing this against Richard and our friend Omar. It went 2-2 against Gandiva, and it 3-0'd Blaster, which is kind of a good sign, I think.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, I'm not sure Blaster is the most relevant of decks, but
I think being able to like slam dunk it was more of the good sign. I think like I didn't feel like I was struggling at all. And then Gandiva, it was like roughly even. But yeah, I was wrong in being sad about this initially. I think it's really good. I don't know if it outshines the Grade 4 Magnolia. I would still have to test more. And
I feel like this is going to be more fragile in terms of like hand advantage.
you say that, but I didn't really have that problem for the most part. You like your only way to make board before was from hands. Now you have the ability to, realistically, you're getting two off of force rope, but that's still really good. But being able to do that saves you a lot of cards, and then just the persona rides and glow nipples, especially. Oh my god, glow nipples has such a fun time in this deck because it's hitting for if you have Serral, which is the thing that gives your persona ride the ability to like boost the back row too. Serral is hitting for 35 on its own without any triggers or anything, which is fucking nuts. And then you go, all right, 35 to my Dragon Tree guy in the front that's normally just hitting for 20. Now it's 55. Yeah. I think the big problem is the early game soul, where there's too much you want to be doing. You want like Serral and the Rancor chain, your Dragon Tree markers. That is where deck building comes into conflict, I think. But for the most part, I think this isn't like tier 0 or anything, not even close. But it's got potential, I think.
That's good.
Are you gonna have a follow-up TikTok where you do it to All Star from Shrek?
Oh, I should have done that instead of just playing the same song and then just being like, I was wrong. Or
yeah. It should have been All Star from the movie.
Should have been All Star. God damn it. Oh. God damn it. Yeah, like here's my preliminary deck list. Pretend the Grade 4 is Magnolia.
I will not.
And Leonardo is the Force Row Dragon. But everything else is as is, and it's pretty good. I like, honestly, part of me wants to run more Grade 3 so I can turn this into Forbital. Like, I mean, like Pulse or whatever. I don't know. It's good. It does its thing. This is going to become that promo order that we got where it's like the check top 7 call something that we got with the rabbit and things like that. So that's what I'm going to use. I originally was going to take your advice and do Frozen Resentments, but again, the soul problem. So, yeah, three masked I think was about the sweet spot. I did 2 at first, like you think or like you told me to, and then it kind of wasn't enough. So up to 3. And yeah, looks pretty solid. I think you can do a version where you run the Magnolia ride line, and which
NPICs.
I thought about NPICs, but because you can just call a board back anyway with Force Row.
Yeah. How is Counterblast for you?
Oh, it's fine. Your Vanguard doesn't Counterblast. You have Alpin if you really need to refund yourself. Most of your Counterblast is going to Force Row your Dragon Tree and Glow Nipples. And then you just got to be smart about it. Force Row also has this weird position where you don't want to like plunk them down. You want to hold on to it, and like you intercept your guys away, or they get blown up by Gandhi, but whatever the thing is, and then you go next turn, call a new field. So it's a little different in regards to how you normally would play something like this. But yeah, it's pretty nice. I'll probably do a more detailed deck profile at some point once the cards are real. I can not be like, pretend this is this other thing.
Right.
Yeah. But
anyways, who cares about all of that? We got a Trick Moon Overdress.
Yeah. You want to cover that before we get out of here?
Sure.
Okay. What is the deal with what was the name? It was Virina.
It's on our Discord. You can just grab it. It's probably not on the wiki yet.
Stupid spoilers. Okay, Firelord. Like Firelord. Okay.
So it's an Overdress over Trick Moon. Are you gonna pull it up, or are you gonna present it, or no?
I am. I'm trying to get the stupid things to be in the same window together. There we go. Okay.
My evil trickstar comments keep coming true, even though she's not evil.
Yeah.
So it has resist. I wish they would just use the fucking keyword. When it's placed on Rearguard circle by Overdress, counterblast. Take a total of 2 arms card from hand or drop zone. Arm 1 to the Vanguard, put the other one in soul. And then when it's in the Overdress state boosts, all of your front row get power plus 5,000 for each card armed.
What is happening?
They gave Trick Moon an Overdress.
What? Why?
I don't know. Bob Sagra is not allowed to have a 4th attack for some reason.
Why is it called Dress Boost?
I mean, that was what the original one was called.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and it has its effect while boosting.
Sure. Feel like this doesn't need a name, but all right.
Yep, that was just apparently that was. I mean, revolt dress boost. That's just the theme.
Understandable.
So yeah,
they'll keep dress boost, but they won't give you resist anymore. Like,
right.
I understand wanting to get rid of like the clan specific ones as you move to nations, but why just let them keep resist?
We're gonna get like dominate and ritual back.
I know, but it was just so succinct and so perfect and they just got rid of it for whatever reason.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope the new arms cards for Bob Sagra are good. I haven't bothered watching the anime to know what they actually do. Apparently, one of them's a guard restrict.
Neat. That's pretty neat.
So we will never get a 4th attack.
Damn.
We're also just not going to get a new Bob Sagra either.
No, Bob Sagra mask for you. It looks like.
My God, I don't. Honestly, the order decks are like the worst one to have mask units. Like, where the fuck are you going to do with Gravidia masks when you're also running like 8 meteors?
I know that must be.
I want to see I want to see how people would have to solve the deck building issues of Bob Saga Mask. I think it'd be very funny. They should run it.
I mean, they'll have to do it for Gravidia. Like, how are you running like the mask order 4 copies of Gravidia masks, like 8 meteorites?
Wait,
still have
Gravidia confirmed?
Yeah, Gravidia is confirmed.
I'm not watching the show. I don't know if that was clear.
Yeah, don't worry.
That seems kind of on brand for Gravidia, though, doesn't it? Where evil alien gets even eviler.
Yeah. Apparently, the left arm is an axe. I don't know what it does.
Cool.
That's fucking cool.
I mean, I hope it doesn't retire itself like every other left arm. Please.
Bet.
If I have to like retire, if it has to retire itself for me to like get a guard restrict, I'm going to cry.
Excellent. Well,
So-
those tears ready.
Get that left arm offering, huh?
Rev up those fryers.
But yeah, apparently, I think the rough estimate of what Gravidia Mask does is like you drop the meteors, and for every 2, you call something from your hand.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's icky.
Yeah. And then I think the remove skill is just getting back like 3 meteors.
Oh. Okay. Is that really that important? Like, are they ever wanting for meteors? It seems like they have more than enough most of the time.
Yeah, I think they have enough meteors. But really, I'm just curious to see how someone is going to solve the Gravidia Mask deck building issue.
Please enlighten us. Comment section. Would love to find out. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this little dive into the mask mechanic again, because there's a lot more than when that first reveal happened. What's your favorite mask? Comment below. Leave a like if you like this show, or if you're on Spotify or whatever thing, leave a review. Please, helps us get more visible. And thanks everybody for listening. Thanks Darren, Cole, Josh, Jeremy, GR, Ali for being $10 patrons. Patreon.com/Nexus at Night. Bonus show, all that good stuff, or Nexus at Night on Twitter. How about the rest of us?
You can find him at Wiggum's 2Gs.
Oh yeah, my bad.
I thought it was the thunderstorm because you said your power might go out.
Oh no,
Okay.
My brain power went out. Sorry.
Okay.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse.
Find me at Atlas Novak, Twitter while it still stands, Instagram.
You
or
mean
TikTok.
X?
fuck off, X, or the app formerly known as Twitter. How about that?
Can you imagine being a giant genius and being like, we have a literal like household name and like Twitter and tweets, things that companies would kill for, right? Like they would commit mass murder for that. And Elon Musk is like, no, we're good.
Masterful gambit, sir.
Yeah, one could call it a gambit, but what do you gain?
The fact that he's like obsessed with the letter X for whatever reason.
I don't understand.
Who knows? But yeah, find me at Atlas Novak in those places, or my YouTube channel, The Epileptic Comic, or my other podcast at Generation Dan on Twitter or Instagram. What was the episode that came out this week? Oh, it was about how me and Dino used to party, and all the parties that we've been to in our lives, from bar mitzvahs to weddings and everything in between. So, yeah. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And have a good night, everybody.